Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Here we look at the best captaincy options for game week 23. My name is Joe and joining me is David. David, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. I finally had a game week worth celebrating at the weekend. And, you know, after a tough year up to this point. And, you know, the captaincy was a big part of it because I went against the grain. Like a lot of people, actually, to be fair. Well, I mean, most people went with Vardy. There was a bunch of us who went with KDB. And it paid off, which was really nice. I mean, that's what we aim for, really, isn't it? Is we aim for the pack to go one way and for us to go the other way. And it's pay off. So kind of hoping that we can maybe do something like that again this week, because that's the key to FPL success, really. And interestingly enough, I mean, we'll come on to it shortly. I think that it could be a role reverse. My prediction is that lots of people will go KDB this week, and that Vardy is not as bad as people think. But I mean, we'll get onto that.
We will discuss that. Yes. It's good that you highlight that you went for KDB. I went for KDB as well. Lots of other people went for got Aguero in, the more braver amongst us went for that. But something we highlighted in our last captaincy video, the one we did with Neil, was exactly that actually Southampton wouldn't be the pushovers that they were at the beginning of the season. So Vardy perhaps wasn't the best option, and Villa were the pushovers. They have been all season.
Absolutely.
And so it was a good time to captain Man City assets. So we followed that there. But yeah, as you said, could be a bit different this time around. Well, let's start with City. So, you know, we backed them heavily in last week's captaincy video. Also in late Risers Meet the Manager video, explained how his high impact decision strategy works, and also put it into practice by moving Vardy out. He really put it into practice. Vardy out, and then got Aguero in and captained him. But are Pep's troops the best people for the captaincy with Palace dropping by next weekend? And if so, which City asset to go for? So let's start with City assets then. Yeah. Best bet for the captaincy, and if so, who?
Well, certainly they have the form, which is always an important thing for us to have in a captaincy option. You know, if you've got a good fixture but the player hasn't got any form, then, you know, you're in trouble. But, I mean, I want to start off this section by let's talk about the opposition, I think, because there's no way that Palace are going to be as bad as Villa were at Villa Park the other day. I know it's at the Etihad Stadium, so of course that is going to provide some level of boost to Man City. But if we look at last four matches, comparing just the defensive data, there's just straight comparison between Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. Now, admittedly, Villa's numbers here are going to include a game against Man City, but they were this bad before they faced Man City, so I don't really think it's necessarily like skewing the figures at all for them. So last four, goal attempts conceded in the box, 52, obviously bottom of the league. Big chances conceded, 16, bottom of the league. XG conceded, 9.08, which is actually the second worst, with Newcastle bottom there. But compare that with Crystal Palace, it's not great, but it's not awful either. So 34 shots in the box conceded, so that's nearly 20 fewer than Aston Villa. Big chances conceded is 7, and obviously Villa conceded 16. And XG conceded for Crystal Palace was 5.14, Villa's 9.08. So I don't really think that's indicative of Palace keeping a clean sheet. They're going to the Etihad. So they're gonna concede, but they're not gonna get completely obliterated like Villa were, I don't think. I mean, and if they do, then it'll be through, like, City are gonna have to work really hard. I think Palace will go there and they will just stick everyone behind the ball, something that Villa aren't capable of, and certainly something that Villa wouldn't necessarily do at home either. Whereas it's Palace who would do that away from home, where you almost have to do that. I think it's going to be a tough one. Not to say that City won't win. But I think we should just curb people's kind of expectations. I don't think we're going to see as an easier an outing for the Man City players as they got against Villa, because Villa just really are, you know, rubbish at defending. So, so that's, for me, that kind of characterises the whole Man City thing. In terms of who I would go for, I mean, at the moment, my bus team captain is on De Bruyne, because his form is just ridiculous and he just won't stop getting points. So there's that. The only thing that sort of slightly, I don't want to say concerns me, because he is incredible. His underlying stats, they haven't been like incredible for a while. So, for example, over the last four matches, he's only had 2 shots in the box. He's had no big chances, and both of those shots have been on target. So that's all right, I suppose. But his goal threat is never particularly, you know, it's not up there with your Danny Ings and all that lot. The creativity is naturally what you're gravitating towards. 3 big chances created in the last 4 matches. That's the second best, but only 7 chances created that were just normal. You got, Buendia's created double that. And then, of course, his XG as well. He's like hugely overperforming against it. Now, what I will say is the best players in the world always overperform against their XG. That's why they're the best players in the world. So maybe he's all right. But, I mean, there's a few other options that I think, I don't know, could they be a bit more explosive, like a Mahrez or Sterling, who's probably going to start this one, having been benched the last one? I don't know. Aguero and Jesus look great as well. Their stats are pretty decent too. But who's going to play out of the two of them? I'm not sure. So I actually think that even though this fixture could be great for them, slightly a little bit worried that Palace could make it hard for them. Of course, Palace won this fixture last year. And I think this was actually the fixture where my captaincy run ended as well. I had 17 in a row. I captained Sané for this fixture, and he didn't deliver. So I don't know. I mean, there's something at the back of my mind that says this game won't be a walk in the park.
I have historical bias there, thinking, okay, they're a bit of a bogey team. Well, hang on to your hats, because Man City will absolutely annihilate Palace if we go by history. So lots of us, including yourself, remember that Palace beating City 3-2 at the Etihad in December 2018. Was it? Yeah, December 18, and then also the 0-0 draw the previous season at Selhurst Park. But for those looking at history, it's worth noting that City have beaten Palace and beaten them well, heavily in recent years, particularly at home. So a history of this encounter at the Etihad, last 4 in the Premier League. City have scored 2, 5, 5 and 4. So they've scored 16 in total. Palace have scored 3. That was that memorable one. None, none and none. So they've got 3 in total. So we're talking 16-3 in terms of recent Etihad encounters with Palace. For history fans, it's going to be an absolute drubbing. But as you said, the stats there, Palace are not Villa. So Villa are there for the taking. And I looked at last 4 away matches, so we're talking similar here. Palace are likely to concede, but they're not likely to do a Villa. So I looked at their last 4 road trips, their XG, they should have conceded around 4 or 5, which is what they did. More or less. City will score, but yeah, not going to be a drubbing here. I think with KDB, I think you're looking at sort of 5 to 10 points. I think if they're going to score,
he's the safe bet, isn't he?
He's a safe bet. I think you're going to get points from KDB. I'm not sure you're going to get, a 15, 17, 20 point return. With Aguero and Sterling and Mahrez and Jesus, it's going to depend on your attitude to risk. I have no doubt that if they start, all of them could do well and could do better than KDB. Who's going to start though? And that's what you're looking at. That's the bravery of those in Gameweek 22 who went for Aguero captaincy. Is will he or won't he start? Will he, or will it be Jesus up top?
Well, we had a bit more help for that one, I think. So that's the thing, is I've seen a few people, and I want to call this out now. Some people are saying that late riser was lucky, but he wasn't, because that particular week, I think you could be confident Aguero would start, because they'd gone the midweek game without Jesus or Aguero.
Yes.
And so then it kind of, I don't know, I feel like on a kind of probabilities, it was like a kind of, 70-30 that he was going to start. We don't really have the same luxury this week. So then that's why I think Aguero would be riskier for this one. Does that make sense? So, yeah.
Well, no,
it's about frame of reference with Man City, I think, sometimes.
From my conversation with Late Riser, I wouldn't call it lucky or unlucky. I'd just call brave.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely bold. but I don't. But yeah, he's not lucky. Very calculated, very good.
But I just wanted to spell that myth as well about a bogey team status for Palace, because. I don't know. KDB, he's my bus captain at the moment, because I think I'm going to get a return.
Yeah, snap.
What about Vardy though? What was this? No shots in his last match against Southampton. But we know what a stat buster he can be. He can even score. He even got points with no shots, so he got an assist this time out. But yeah, what do we think? Is Vardy against Burnley an actual better option for the captaincy?
Well, I mean, I think he could be. I do think he could be. That's why I said at the top of the video, I think we could end up with a bit of a switcheroo this week. Last week, everybody went Vardy, and those of us who went for KDB off the back of Southampton's defensive stats reap the rewards. Now, this week, as I said, De Bruyne is currently top of the captain poll. Vardy's in second. And I think Leicester have got an easier fixture by a long margin, based on the form of Burnley, which recently has just completely dropped off a cliff. and we're sort of almost creeping back towards what we saw of Burnley at the start of last season, where they went the first sort of 12 to 18 game weeks as absolute whipping boys every week when Joe Hart was in goal. I don't really know where this has come from. I know that they tend to get thrashed whenever Bardsley's not playing, because he's missed a few recently. When Loughton's played, they've been done over. They tend to lose when they change formation as well. They usually, when they play 4-4-2, they do a little bit better than when they try and change it up. And because they've got some injuries to a couple of their forward players, he's been forced to sort of play like 4-5-1 recently. And again, that's the system they don't really understand very well. And it seems to have backfired. So in terms of the stats, 38 shots conceded in the last 4, 10 big chances conceded, and XGC is 7.7. So third worst in the league for XGC, in the bottom 5 for big chances conceded, and the bottom 5 for shots in the box conceded as well. So yeah, I think this fixture is a good one for Leicester. Now, yes, Vardy didn't have any shots against Southampton. I think that there were 2 reasons for that. Number one, he's coming back from injury. So it's going to take a little bit of time just to kind of work his way back up to his kind of, full potential. And then the other thing, of course, is that Southampton defence, which has been out of nowhere incredible. Now, on site right now, the lunchtime article is a full article detailing just how good the Southampton defence is, comparing it to the rest of the league, comparing it against what it was like sort of like 3 months ago. And it's just ridiculous. And I want to say, and fair play to the board at Southampton and to Hasenhüttl as well, because they could have easily sacked him, and he could have easily just kind of thrown in the towel, but they've stuck with him, and he's turned this defence into a real mean, clean sheet producing machine. So I think that might be why he kind of struggled against them. So then when you compare the fact that Burnley and Southampton's defence are miles apart right now, Vardy is a man who likes to prove a point. I think he could do well this weekend. So if we look at, if we compare him with De Bruyne's underlying stats, even though he had no shots against Southampton, last 4, he's had 7 shots in the box. De Bruyne's had just 2, because they're just different types of plays. They're one big chance, which isn't very many, but again, De Bruyne's had none. 3 shots on target, De Bruyne's had 2. And he's created 2 big chances. So he's only had 1 fewer big chance created than De Bruyne. So, people sort of going off Vardy, I don't really think is that wise, because I do think this week he could come back with a bang. And yes, fine, I've got De Bruyne as my bus team captain, but I'm really considering making a switch to Vardy, I think.
Yeah, Vardy's my vice captain at the moment, and same with last week as well. I was thinking Vardy, KDB won out in the end, but it's that whipping boy status. That's what you want for a captaincy. And I mean, you reeled off the stats there with Burnley. I looked at the last 4 home matches. I mean, that they should be doing better at home than away, and they're not. So in fact, they've conceded 9. That's the joint worst, along with Everton. So it's 9 they've conceded, last 4 home. The expected goals conceded is just under 7 as well. So only Villa are worse in defence at home over that time frame in terms of expected goals conceded. So as the figures you've put out there, they're bad, and the figures there at home, they're bad. This is the sort of Villa type whipping boy status you want from a captaincy. So that may persuade me later in the week. KDB at the moment for me, but as you said, Vardy's putting in a very strong case because of how poor Burnley are as well. I think Maddison owners, those looking for perhaps a more maverick captaincy choice, Maddison could be a good one here. Let's look at Liverpool assets at home to Manchester United. Looks to be a good match to captain Salah or Mane, perhaps, or perhaps not, because Manchester United have looked slightly better of late. Could be. Could it be a time for Rashford? I doubt it against that Liverpool defence. But anyway, Liverpool assets. Are we overlooking them?
Yes, we are, but I think that's probably wise, because I know that these sort of occasions sometimes you have to say the form book goes out the window, but and also Solskjaer is not going to park the bus like Mourinho used to. But defensive stats for both of these 2 teams are very good last 4 matches. Liverpool, naturally, top of the league, best for fewest goal attempts conceded in the box, 16. But United have only conceded 18. So they're not far off at all. Big chances conceded, Liverpool just 2, Man United just 4. Again, so they're both in the top 3. And then XGC, Liverpool 2.5, Man United 3.07. So I think it's going to be tight because, in a sense, neither team wants to lose this. Do they really need to win this for anything other than pride? Probably not. Liverpool just need to not lose because they want to become the Invincibles, and they just need to not lose ground in any big sense. And United maybe conscious of the fact that they kind of don't really want to get thrashed here. So it really puts me off for captaincy, because when you see defensive stats for both teams look that good, it means something has to give. Yes, United are more likely to give than Liverpool, but it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen United and Liverpool come together and it be sort of a tight, kind of uneasy affair that, a bit niggly. And yes, maybe Rashford gets an assist and Salah gets a goal or Mane gets something. But if I've got to predict that, I wouldn't be confident. I think a 0-0 is as likely as a 2-1 or 2-2. So in the context of City looking so good form-wise, Leicester having a much better fixture, then I'm not really going to consider any of these guys, really.
No, I think this is. I think Liverpool assets are a good captaincy shout for anyone like late riser we spoke about, who've got rid of Vardy, or perhaps others have got rid of KDB for some reason. Although I was slightly considering it the other day. For any of those people, I think just putting a bet on one of Salah or Mane to do well against Manchester United, or indeed Rashford, who does raise his game in these types of fixtures. It could be a good alternative captaincy pick there. If I was to go for any of them, it would be Salah, I think, but that's mainly because last 4 home matches he is top in terms of shots inside the box, along with Calvert-Lewin. So he's top there. So I just think he's getting most shots away where you want them to be in order to score. So I just think Salah would be the best one. But as you said, I've got too many caveats as well over this. Hey, how about this next pick though? I haven't got any caveats in here, and I am tempted to at least vice captain, but possibly even captain this guy. He's in quite good form. Danny Ings. He can't stop scoring. Can he keep his shirt on and the ball in the back of the net again against an out of sorts Wolves? So you were speaking about Southampton's defence. What about their attack as well? Yeah, Ings, good differential.
Yeah, well, I think so. I mean, I think at this point you kind of just need to. I think you just need to get him because he can't stop scoring, and his stats are great as well. 9 shots against Leicester, and they're all in the box. And it's the thing is, as an Ings owner, like it's a bit annoying. If I didn't own Ings and I saw that he'd had 9 shots in the box and he only got 5 points, I would be breathing the biggest sigh of relief going because
I was
watching the extended watching the extended highlights of that game. I was like, I cannot believe he's not come out of this with like 25 points or something stupid, because he really should have done. Hit the bar twice, forcing saves left, right, and centre. 9 shots in the box, whilst Vardy had none, which I love. I love the irony of that. That's the new 9-0. That's
9-0. I like that. I saw you tweeted quiz. That. Yeah, I did like that. I was really lucky because those stats were, and those highlights as well. I really watched that and I just thought, how have I got away with this?
Well, I mean, part of it was the taking the shirt off, because that could have. I think that may have cost him 4 points, because he -1 for the card, and if he'd have been on for maximum bonus, which he often is, he lost it completely by taking the shirt off. So it could have been 9 points, but in the end it was just 5. Yeah, as an answer to the question, can he keep a shirt on? We might have to have a chat with Rambo from the FPL FYR show, who's seeming all of a sudden best mates with Danny Ings. So I might have to see if I can get in there, send him a text, keep your shirt on, score a hat trick, but keep your shirt on, please. In terms of this particular fixture, I don't know. I mean, I'd rather it wasn't Wolves. I mean, so there was a couple of weeks ago when I think it was Villa actually, when they played Villa, and it was a week when some of the fixtures were quite hard to call, and I had Ings as my vice for like a while, and then I can't remember who I went with in the end, but Ings got 13 points, and I felt really silly because Ings had some good numbers, Villa had some terrible numbers. Together, I thought that's going to be a big haul. I wasn't brave enough to go for it. I should have done. Then he got the haul. But Wolves, yes, they're out of sorts, no clean sheets in the last 4, but they're never going to get thrashed. They're not the type of team that anyone's really going to walk over, because they've kind of been that way since they came up. I kind of like describing them as clean sheet nearly men, in that they always have decent numbers, but they don't get as many clean sheets as they should. So 25 shots conceded last 4 matches. Only 4 teams have conceded fewer than that. Big chances conceded is 7, which is kind of like upper mid-table. And then XGC, they've got the 6th best in the league in the last 4, 3.96. I mean, they played Newcastle, so that might sort of factor into it, I suppose. But, I mean, again, it's not Burnley, it's not Villa. So I think Southampton could win this, maybe 2-1. Ings may get something. But, I mean, one thing that you maybe get from looking at Ings' points history is that he is kind of like he ticks over. he's I think it's one. I think it is just one double figure haul across this entire run that he's got. So then again, comparing that with Vardy, I think Vardy with the fixture more likely to explode. I think De Bruyne, just based on the fact that he's De Bruyne, more likely to explode as well because he's had loads of double figure hauls. So I'd love to throw the captain's armband on Danny Ings, but yeah, I arguably think this could be a tougher fixture for them than Leicester away because Leicester's defence crumbled recently and no Ndidi as well, so they were unprotected. Whereas Wolves a little bit more, I don't know, sure of themselves according to the data.
I think with I'd be intrigued to see your article about Southampton's defence as well because I think obviously if the defence is good, the Wolves attack is going to be frustrated, and that means that Southampton are going to be able to, in theory, have more time to attack if their defence is doing the job and not spending its time focusing on the likes of Jimenez and Traore. I think he's a nice safe option for the captaincy this week. But once again, I think it's going to be within that 5 to 10 point range. Whereas I think Vardy possibly more. I think Vardy's either going to be 2 or 20. Looking at Burnley's defence, I'm not sure which. But yeah, in terms of captaincy, he's sort of just below. He's a rung below, I think. Let's look at some other ones there. So, it's possibly getting to barrel scraping time. We've spoken about the Villa defence. Brighton are up against them next. It's an alternative there. Could be perhaps a Brighton asset. Neil Maupay, for example, getting popular as people are looking to free up funds to get in the likes of Salah and Mane. What about them?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brighton should win that game. But the only problem is, with Brighton, you never really know who's going to play. I mean, Maupay's the most likely to play, but even still, over the last 4 matches, he's only played 292 minutes. It's not been completely extensive, and stats aren't as good as there was a time when he was really reeling off these shots in the box, but just 2 in the box, 1 big chance, and 3 on target. It's a bit, not great, but I suppose it's Villa, so maybe. I mean, for me, the one I'm looking at as a differential, I'm not going to do it because I'm either going to be Vardy or De Bruyne, but would be either a Richarlison, who I do have, or Calvert-Lewin, who I don't, against West Ham without Fabianski. I think it's become quite clear over the last 2 years that when Fabianski is not fit, that West Ham team is rubbish. Yeah, and I do feel sorry for Pellegrini because I think if Fabianski had been fit the whole time that he was under the cosh, I don't think they would have been under the cosh as much because they just Roberto and David Martin just aren't good enough. The thing is their defensive stats are usually pretty poor. So XGC last 4 7.22, goal attempts conceded in the box 33. Bottom half of the table. Yeah, they just always concede lots of shots. Always, like throughout the entire time that Fabianski's been there. But when he is there, because he's such a good goalkeeper, it doesn't matter. But when he's not there, those shots go in. It then permeates throughout the whole team because it's a bit like Fulham last year. Even if you're attacking well, but every time you get counted on, you concede. It just sucks the life out of the team. So if they haven't got Fabianski fit, it looks like he's going to miss definitely this week. Probably the first of the 2 double game weeks, and he's got a chance to start the one after, but it's not looking too positive. They might sign Darren Randolph this week, but I don't know. I mean, you can't necessarily rely on that, but Everton are obviously making lots of progress under Ancelotti. Calvert-Lewin owners, I would be patient with him because he was so unfortunate not to get something in the most recent game. Had loads of shots. He had one that he turned in with what I would describe as this part of his arm, and somehow that's handball. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I just think he was a bit hard done by. I think really there wasn't a lot he could do. He just collapsed on the ball, and it was ruled out for handball. But last 4 matches, 14 shots in the box with Calvert-Lewin. Only Ings and Jesus have had more than that in the whole league. And then in terms of shots on target, he's at 8, and only Jesus has had more shots on target than Calvert-Lewin. So he is due a haul, big time. And I think a West Ham defence without Fabianski could be this week.
I think that's a good shout there. But the reason I think this is possibly not the best week to do it is because on paper, this is Man City assets like KDB, Vardy, Danny Ings, they all are probably on for 5 to 10 points at least. So you're betting against them doing well. If it was a kind of week where a lot of those assets have really tough games and they would possibly could all blank, that's what you're betting against. Essentially there. So I think whilst you could get a 14, 16 point return from the likes of Richarlison, I think you're betting this week you're betting against what looks inevitable, really, which is points from some of those key assets. So I think, I mean, I'm a dullard manager by nature, but I do accept that there are some weeks when it's good to go for a differential, and then we've had a few of those this season. I just don't think this is. I think it is a Man City or Vardy week, possibly Salah, Mane if you're up for it. But yeah, I think it's not a chance to be different. Meanwhile, David, before we go, I just want to mention the members area as well. So we've got monthly. I've got this right. So we've got season membership. You can get monthly membership. What are the sort of benefits that can people get from signing up to membership for Fantasy Football Scout?
Well, I mean, one of the key things is that you don't necessarily need to rely so much on me and Joe telling you all the stats, because it means you could get them yourself. I mean, by all means, still listen to us. I mean, that's important. But the point is that you can go and look up pretty much whatever you want. They've got comparison tools, we've got tables, and of course, at the moment, we've got a lot of members articles on right now, making a bit of a push to have a few more of those than we did before. So you can read all of those included on the package as well. You've got the Rate My Team tool. I think I've said that right. I don't want to get that the wrong way around. Like you did, Joe. The Rate My Team tool, where we've got our projections, so you can sort of run your team through that, make some projected transfers, work out whether or not making that transfer will get you more points or less points, or what have you. And we've got match data coming through as well. So on a match day, once the game's finished, you can head straight into the match. And that's how I was able to find out within about 5 minutes of full time that Danny Ings had 9 shots in the box. It's just I mean, I love it. It's just, there's so much there. It's an absolute goldmine of information. So yeah, by all means sign up. One other thing to add actually is that because it's January, you can now sign up from now until the end of the season for $9.99, which means that January is the best month for you to get value out of it, because it stays $9.99 for the remainder of the season. So if you signed up in February, it's the same price, but you're getting less for what you paid for. So if you want to get your discounted price, then get it now. Get it by the end of the month, I would say. The monthlies, of course, they're helpful too, because you can sign on and sign off for a month or what have you. But effectively, the $9.99 is the reduced price for the season package. So yeah, definitely encourage people, if you've not signed up already, now is the time to sign up for the rest of the season for $9.99, which is, I think, a great price. So
good advice there. Good advice there. In the meantime, David, good luck with your captaincy pick, and good luck with the rest of the game week.
Cheers, thank you, and to you as well.